Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Rescue Ace Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for post-Cyberstorm access. Wanted to update the deck. We did get a new trap card in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh booster set. It's a really awesome deck that has been seeing a lot of play lately with the recent metagame change popping up in the regional tops. This deck focuses on just being able to set up the many different Rescue Ace spell and traps that we run in the deck, and then being able to use them with our boss monster, Rescue Ace Turbulence, for additional setup of those 4 Rescue Ace quick play spells and normal traps with different names. And with the addition of the new one, it just gives us another added option to play. We'll be getting some new support in the Dueling Nexus set. Additionally, for this deck, I believe we've already had a new spell revealed as well. But until then, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Rescue Ace monsters, we're running 2 copies of Rescue Ace Turbulence. You can banish 2 Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. And during your main phase, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick play spells and normal traps with different names directly from your deck. If another card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it, and you can only use each effect of Turbulence once per turn. So you have the play to use with your other cards that we run in the deck, including the new Reinforce with the Rescue Ace cards, and then just an additional destruction effect with our Rescue Ace Turbulence on the field. I also run 2 copies of Rescue Ace Fire Engine. If a Rescue Ace monster is normal or special summon to your field, except Rescue Ace Fire Engine, and except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower Rescue Ace monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You go and use each effect of Fire Engine once per turn. So a lot of the setup also comes down to Rescue Ace Hydrant being one of our main go-to ones to get out on the field. So being able just to get it out with Fire Engine and having Fire Engine be another easy monster to special summon out makes it a pretty good boss monster resource as well, just to get a good number of different monsters out on the field for us to use. For some higher numbers for the Rescue Ace, I am running 3 Rescue Ace Hydrant. With this card, while you control a Rescue Ace monster other than Hydrant, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attacks. Also, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and you can only use each of the following effects of Rescue Ace Hydrant once per turn. You can activate a quick play spell or trap the turn it was set by the effect of your Rescue Ace card, and then during your main phase, you can add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand, except for Rescue Ace Hydrant. So this is the search and setup using the cards that were already set up on the field with Rescue Ace Turbulence, thanks to having Hydrant on the field as well, and then gaining an additional search for any other Rescue Ace monster you may need thanks to it also. For some of the lower numbers, I also run 2 copies of Rescue Ace Airlifter. When it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 Rescue Ace spell from your deck to your hand. And when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, you contribute this card from your hand or phase on the field to special summon 1 Rescue Ace monster from your hand, except for Rescue Ace Airlifter. So this just gives you easy access, again, with cards like Rescue Ace Hydrant from your hand to get onto the field, and will be protected as well on the field when you have some of your bigger monsters like Rescue Ace Turbulence to rely on also. And I also run the 2 copies of Rescue Ace Impulse. During your main phase, you can choose one or the 1 effect monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice of Tide, and neither player can activate that monster's effects on the field this turn. And when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or phase on the field to special summon 1 Machine Rescue Ace monster from your deck, and you can only use each effect of Impulse once per turn. Another quick way to get cards like Rescue Ace Hydrant onto the field, it has to be a Machine Rescue Ace monster, so you also have your Fire Engine and then also your Turbulence to rely on with your Impulse, just being able to grab that monster that much more quickly onto the field for you to use. And then with the last of the Rescue Ace monsters being 1 Rescue Ace Fire Attacker. If a Rescue Ace monster is normal or special summoned to your field, except Rescue Ace Fire Attacker, even during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card's added to your opponent's, if a card is added to your opponent's hand, except by drawing it, you can draw 2 cards, then discard 1. So it's a draw power. It's a little more situational. That's why we're only running the 1 copy. Plus, you can search it out with other cards that we run in the deck as well, giving us more of a search thanks to cards like Rescue Hydrant for this card. And then for the rest of the main deck monsters, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, just an additional hand trap that we run on top of the other Rescue Ace monsters in the main deck just to shut down any of our opponent's searches or graveyard setup. Moving on now to the spells. I run 3 copies of Alert. This quick play spell is always treated as a Rescue Ace card. Add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your graveyard to your hand, or if you control Rescue Ace Hydrant, you can add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand instead. So another benefit of just having Hydrant on the field, you'll gain the additional effects of your spells. Alert always counting as a Rescue Ace card as well, and then just the additional search with it also. We also run 2 copies of Rescue with this quick play spell. It's always treated as a Rescue Ace card. You target 1 Rescue Ace monster in your graveyard, or if you control Rescue Ace Hydrant, target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your field. So just another card to take away from your opponent if need be if you have Hydrant. Otherwise, you could just get a Rescue Ace monster back onto the field of your own. I also run 1 Rescue Ace HQ, with this card being our field spell. While your opponent controls a monster, all Rescue Ace monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. And during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Rescue Ace monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn, and once per turn you can target 4 of your Rescue Ace cards that are banished and or in your graveyard, and shuffle them back into the deck and draw 1 card. So it's just a good way to recycle some of your resources, and being able to have this card with Rescue Ace be searched out, thanks to some of your other cards in the deck. It's just more of a power boost card as well, and when you get that additional normal summon of a Rescue Ace monster, you can have more access to some of your cards in your extra deck, getting more monsters out on the field for you to use. I also run the additional 2 copies of Piraeus Map. It's a search for our Rescue Ace Hydrant and a good majority of the other Rescue Ace monsters. Since they have the same attack and defense for that play, you can search out your Hydrant and then go for those additional searches after adding the Hydrant to your hand off the Piraeus Map. So I'm only running 2 copies since the only target we have for the search is Hydrant in the deck with our Piraeus Map, but then we can just gain additional monsters from the search using this card. I also run 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. I know it's more of a pricier card, but we're also hoping for a reprint of this card in the 2023 Megaton, making it a little more accessible for people. If you didn't want to run Prosperity, you can always run a Gizmic engine along with an additional copy of Piraeus Map to replace the Pot of Prosperities that we run in the deck. And then for some of the one-ofs for the spells, I run the 1 copy of Reinforcements to the Army for the search for our Warrior Rescue Ace monsters like Impulse or our Airlifter, and also the 1 Monster Reborn, the 1 1-for-1 to summon out Hydrant that much more quickly, and the 1 Call by the Grave is just another way to stop our opponent's hand traps, because our searches for our Rescue Ace cards are definitely very important, and if they try to use anything like Effect Veiler, you can at least use Call by the Grave to stop it. Moving on now to the traps. The new trap that we got in the deck is Reinforced. We're running 3 copies of this card. Always treated as a Rescue Ace card. You target 1 Rescue Ace monster you control, and for the rest of this turn, that monster you control gains 1500 attack and defense. It's unaffected by your opponent's monster effects, and the next time it would be destroyed by your opponent's monster effects or destroyed by battle, it is not destroyed, and you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Rescue Ace spell card in your graveyard and set that card. So even when you set the card with Reinforce, if you have your Rescue Ace Hydrant, you can activate it the turn it was set, making it a readily accessible card for you to use against your opponent right after that. And then just a better way for you to protect your bigger boss monsters like Rescue Ace Turbulence, turning it into a 4500 attack and defense card that's unaffected by your opponent's monster effects, and also preventing the first time be destroyed by battle, making it nearly impossible to get over that card once you activate this trap. I also run 2 copies of Extinguish, with this card also being treated as a Rescue Ace card. If you control a Rescue Ace monster, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Then if you currently control a Rescue Ace Hydrant, your opponent cannot activate the effects of that destroyed monster. And then just shutting down any of those destruction plays that they may have had with that card as well. And then the last of the Rescue Ace traps being 2 copies of Contain. If you control a Rescue Ace monster, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and that effect monster attacks. It cannot attack, and it also has its effects negated. And if you control Rescue Ace Hydrant, at resolution of this effect, that monster also cannot be used as material for Fusion, Synchro, Seize, or Link, basically shutting it out of a good majority of any of other cards your opponent may have tried to use it for. And lastly, for the traps, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just along with the Ash Blossom hand trap, another way to shut down your opponent with plenty of the other cards, or just a way to fill their back row up for cards for you to activate against your opponent, whether they be any of the Rescue Ace traps, any of the spells. You have a good majority of cards to activate against your opponent with your other Rescue Ace cards set up on the field. Moving on now to the extra deck. It's a pretty generic extra deck with the Pot of Prosperity, just monsters you can easily go into with any of the summons. The 1 Pit Knight Early, 1 Ferocious Flame Swordsman, 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer, 1 Security Dragon, and 1 Doolittle Chimera for some of the Link 2s. And then for the Link 1s, the 1 Salamangreat Almirage and the 1 Link Karibo. And then for the bigger Link monsters as well, as some additional backup options that you most of the time can banish. Also for the Pot of Prosperity, the 1 Nightmare Cerberus, the 1 Track Black, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Saryuja, the 1 Nightmare Griffin, and the 1 Borreload or Boral End Dragon. Once again, just a good mash of random cards just in case some of them do get banished off of Prosperity that you have to go for the banish to use, with the last being the Xyz monsters, 1 Time Thief Redoer, and 1 Gaga Cowboy. If you want to replace the Cowboy for Zeus, it can always be another option to go for. And then as for some of the go-to plays, a lot of them still revolve around just being able to set up some of your special summons for your monsters, and then being able to special summon that resource, go for an extra deck monster, and then have the Turbulence Search to special summon it out on the field. So relying on Hydrant for that summon, and then the additional one off of Fire Engine, or if you get the Search for your Rescue Ace Hydrant, or summon it off of other cards you control, whether it be your 1-for-1 or one of your go-to spells. You even have just the Search with Piraeus Map to add to your hand and then summon it onto the field, which you'll have to do to get around the effect negation of your Piraeus Map as well. Getting that additional monster on the field, whether you use your 2 monsters that you summoned out first with the summon of Rescue Ace Hydrant and then the special summon of Fire Engine for a Link 2 play, summoning out your monster of choice, and then banishing those 2 to summon Turbulence onto the field will just then give you access to 4 of your Rescue Ace spell and traps of choice onto the field. And then you always want to go for the Reinforced Trap because it just gives you, like I said before, a bigger way to power up your boss monster on the field to begin with. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. Once again, it's a pretty awesome deck, and it's just like the Pirellis from Amazing Defenders are going to get more support from the Dueling Nexus set to make it even more of a powerhouse to be utilized. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.